All right. Good evening, everyone. Right. So let's have a quick round of introduction. I'm Shruti. I'm the global BD head at BitTrue Exchange. It's a centralized exchange, very much global. Not sharing much about it, guys. I'm not letting you know what's amazing CMC rank and the great volumes that we have.
Hi, my name is Paul. I'm the head of Cointelgraph Accelerator. It's a program that was started in Cointelgraph to help early stage companies with marketing, media exposure, and our network. And we help them to fundraise as well, just being in the center of the industry for more than 10 years and with tens of millions of people reading our website. We can help them grow faster and show their products to the mass audience.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Sumit. I lead the research team at Blockship Capital. We are a liquid fund, and we invest in liquid tokens and also early stage seeds.
I think with Sumit, this is the second time I'm moderating you. No, last time I was sitting with you. Yeah, someone else was moderating. So this time, yeah, I'm at the lucky spot, I believe. So not taking much time, the first question that I have for you guys is, how do venture capital firms evaluate the scalability potential of Omnichain blockchain with multiple interacting chains, considering factors such as transaction throughput, network congestion, and consensus mechanisms?
Such a technical question to start with. So the way we look at it is, in order for us to assess any kind of technology, we first try to understand what is it used for, right? So before we dive any deeper into the technology and get the tech guys in to look at the code and so on and so on. So we try to understand at the business level, right, how the technology can be scaled, right? So we think about scaling not from the perspective of just the transactions per second and so on, because the technology that we currently have in the industry is much more advanced than the applications that we have. So we have far more efficient technology and like pretty much gasless or like close to zero gas cost transactions. The transactions are super fast. For some gaming blockchains, you can actually stream transactions as you play the game. So the way we'll look at it is we look at the application layer and see where the scalability can be used, right? So, and then obviously a product that actually requires scalability, then we try to understand and find the proper infrastructure for that. And just a quick example of that I was thinking about. So some game studios are trying to build games where you assign transactions as you go through the game. So every step of a character is an actual transaction on chain. And it can create very interesting game mechanics and the game economy prospects. But for this to build, you need to have a really very, very fast infrastructure, and it should be pretty much gasless. And so when you have the use case, then you can see and analyze the whole range of possibilities, how this can be done. And then you can actually go to talk to engineers and explain to them the problem and to see how they can find the solution for that. So instead of going like a deep dive into the technology, we'll look at it from the perspective of a user and the actual use case of the product. And then I'm not an engineer, so I will always have an engineer to go look at the code. But before we do that, we need to understand what it does and is there a reason for scaling at all?
Yes, very well put, and quite, it was put in very proper stepwise, and I totally agree with what you've mentioned. Sumit, you want to add something?
So VCs analyze in terms of, you see, the most amount of liquidity is in ETH right now, like, but still some of the best performing assets are Sui, Aptos, Solana, like it's up, down, up, down. If you see people who are not happy with Solana, the BGOD's NFT moved to Polygon, but still the Solana infrastructure has given so much to the VCs who invested in the first round. Most of the VCs who invested in the first round take almost 1,000x. So technology initially is a analyzing factor, but the main part is that how you can get the retail attention to that. So that as a VC, as a fund, what we need to do is get the most out of it, take money from that, invest in other one, because technology is commodity. How we can catch attention is the most important part. That depends on the team. It depends on what sort of technology innovation you are doing. Compared to currently what it's going on, when Celestia came, it was modularity. Right now, Monad is there, which is a parallel EVM. You see the new terms are coming. So this is the part of the innovation. And VCs put money where they see that future retail audience will come and airdrop like other entities, airdrop hunters and all this. So this is a combination of each and everything. You cannot 100% give out that this will work. VCs put a lot of money in different chains. Like chain is not like you can just spin up a chain with a SDK as an engine. It doesn't take a lot of time. You just need to go 2 clicks and you can spin up. Chain is not the big deal. The big deal is that how you can innovate on all the aspects of growth in growing your TBL, getting attention. Yeah.
Definitely makes sense because though, I mean, we see a lot of projects building on the very popular chains, but at the end of the day, the very valuable ones have come from the smaller chains or the newer ones. And that's how they come to a particular level, right? So moving on to the next question, let me say this time a little slowly. I think the first time I spelled out the question really quick. What criteria do venture capital firms use to assess the interoperability features of omnichain blockchains, particularly in terms of seamless communication and data exchange between different chains?
Omnichain, you can take the example of Dojima is building that. We have XLR, we have Layer 0. So I think communication is a lot under how easy it is to develop on underlying chains, to connect. So for example, if you want to bridge something from Cosmos to ETH, now it's easy, but earlier it was a lot of hassle. You need Kepler, you need MetaMask, but right now you can add it via other because now the SDKs are there. So Layer 0 is one of them, which like a lot of hype about that in terms of airdrop and transaction sort of things. So I think it's very important if you want to fix the liquidity fragmentation, the main thing which crypto is lacking is the liquidity fragmentation. So I think it plays a very big role. Taking an example, like if I have as a retail bought a Solana on Binance, but now he wants to transact on Cosmos, it's so much reading required to move from Solana to Cosmos, get a Kepler, Phantom and all. So I think if it should be one click for retail and anyone who is new to onboard. So that's what I see, that Omnichain is a game changer here itself.
Very well said. Yes, Paul.
Yeah, so our take on that is that we would look for a platform that would not only compete with other platforms, but actually would also utilize and integrate with other platforms. Because if I'm just a standalone platform that provides any types of omni-chain interoperable retail or like bridging capability, it will compete with the other ones. And there's just tons of traditional bridges out there in the market. Some are big, some are small. And the mechanisms are relatively similar, some peculiarities, but more or less. So when we're looking at the platform is we're looking for engineers to find a way not to compete with other platforms, but actually use them as like side platforms that can be put adjacent to a platform. So just a quick example. So if someone is building a bridge, rather than compete with like Chainlink, Layer 0 and other protocols, they can actually use their infrastructure to integrate with their platform and use both of them or either of them to make sure that the transfer is secure and transparent. And so whenever we see that a business model that doesn't compete with others, but actually aggregates different technical possibilities of the platforms, similar to how like DEX aggregators aggregate trades to get better rates. If a platform is able in the design to integrate all the pros of other platforms, that would be very competitive in other sense.
Seems like the whole world and the whole ecosystem come together. We all move ahead together. Hopefully, yes. So I think at the end of the day, the users and the community is still limited. So it makes more sense that we all, go in synchronization. How do venture capital firms analyze the governance model implemented in Omnichain ecosystem to ensure a very effective decision-making process and alignment with the interest of all participating stakeholders. Before you answer, I was just wondering if you're on a podcast, you can give some gaps and also nobody gets to know that you're reading. Here, even if I try to fake that I'm not reading, but the moment I looked up, so I'll say the question in one go.
The governance is the core part of crypto. Without that, a lot of investors or retail doesn't focus, because as in crypto, it's grown with the community. As an individual, you cannot pull off everything. Like in an institution, if you're a TradFi, if you have a very huge amount of money, you can put in and get it done. But here, you need synchronization of each and every individual. Could be a community developer, your marketing team and everything. So governance, what it does is that it gives initial credibility so that people should come and trust your project and put in money. You see Uniswap, the biggest airdrop in 2018. Why did help was the biggest airdrop? Because community believed in it. But I think EC's low governance propose very coldly because they are not here for 6 months or 1 year. They are here for long-term game here. So they want governance to be the core part of that. And as governance is good, the decentralization is better. So that not every team shouldn't have full rights to do anything. It's always community should vote for that.
But just in continuation to that, where you see that the governance model or the community should be a part, do you think that community again goes by more of popularity? They would always be more attractive to go towards something which has already or established visibility or the branding. So doesn't this actually put a setback to the newcomers?
So just going back to the main question, and I'll back to yours. So when we look at the governance model, the only way it's going to work is when the economical incentives of participants are clearly defined, established, and are known to everyone. So I don't believe that people do things that they don't have incentive for. So whatever governance is built around believing in decentralization or philosophic matters, it's not going to work. So there should be clear economical benefits for the user to do a particular action, to use a product, to advertise a product, and it should be very transparent and clear. So if we put away all the philosophy and make the incentives more real and applicable to economical benefits of the users, then it's going to be fair, it's going to be transparent. All the users are going to see why they're awarded and what for, ideally when, but normally they don't know when, but they would hope for it. So long story short, I think that the transparent economical incentives is the crucial part of the government to work. And going back to your question, there will always be products who have branding power and who don't have branding power, and companies with brand have the privilege of providing less value to the communities, and that's the standard growth model. So when they start a network, the value that user can bring is much more valuable, so you will share more value. So it's just the equation, right? So if you don't have the brand, you'll have to give more to the users so that they use your product. The more users you have, the larger brand power you have. If you have larger brands, you give less to the newcomers. So it's like a curve with growth, and the stronger brand the platform will have, the less value it will need to get back to the users.
Very well actually handled that. Okay, let's move to question number 4. What metrics and indicators do venture capital firms consider when evaluating the security measures implemented in omnichain blockchains with multiple chains, including encryption standards, authentication protocols, and resistance to cyber threats? And I do see a lot of people from the security firm here. I see these amazing guys from Cred Shield. And yes, I saw someone from Quinorid. So you guys are going to be the next target when we are handling this question.
As you see, it all starts again, as I said, from the actual use case, right? So again, you'll have the engineering team to look at the infrastructure, but the first thing that we'll do is identify who is the security tool for, what problem it solves, because it's far more complicated than like having a simple antivirus in the traditional web tool software. So we need to understand what exactly it solves, who is the target client, and we need to understand whether there's a market for it. Ideally, we would look at the projects that already have some traction and some clients, and then we would need to understand which problems exactly are solved for those clients, and then we will take a deeper look at the infrastructure to see if it's scalable and if they have a competitive edge to it.
Depend on the third-party security reports.
Well, so at VC would always, so you cannot have both business and financial expertise and technological expertise in like one person. I mean, you probably can, but that's a relatively rare case. So we would always have our kind of technical partners to do their work, the business level partners to do their work, because they cannot succeed without each other, kind of a working fair. So yeah, it's always important to have a tech team who would look at the code.
So VCs invest in very early stage. So security, like we have blockchain engineers hired, which go through the initial MVP code, but you cannot expect everything to be bad. Even though, if you remember Wormhole, the biggest $350 million had, it was funded by biggest VCs or dev, but eventually you need conviction there. But security is important because in a bridging concept, if you apply it to Omnichain thing, it's very, very important because you are taking other chains and everything, and you are taking money from a customer, putting it into your custody and then bridging it. So it's very important. A lot of hacks happen, but eventually the market is growing. We need more security engineers. And I think there are very less amount of people who understand very core. And every day it is innovating, like the new hacks and all this, which were not discovered before. So eventually it's like innovation and progress, whatever it's happens because something is happening. Like they were not sure what simple line of code can change. The normal hack was just because of 2 lines of code, which the guy who hacker did it. So yeah, I think it's a constant innovation, and VCs put money, they know there is a risk, but it's on the team itself.
So just to continue, have you guys ever come across a situation where, say, the project was backed by the top partners or someone having a very good standing in the market, but maybe certain reports were slightly, incomplete, were like not up to the mark, but you still decided to move ahead on, maybe, I won't say, it would be incorrect to say that, there was a slight breach of security or something, but probably it was not up to the mark, but you still decided to proceed with the project just because it was backed by the proper people.
Yeah, that happens a lot of times. Small VCs see what other top tiers are. So if you see Ledger, the recent hack in which what Ledger thing happened, it was because of social engineering with the GitHub logins were with the person who left the company earlier. Now what can you how VCs can analyze this outcome? So it's the name of the game. Eventually, if you're in a long term, you'll make money anyhow because this is a very rewarding ecosystem. So you just need to be moving on by learning every day, whatever it's happening. So yeah, we do we take top tier VCs and we invest. That's also the criteria. I know they do good due diligence, but what you are VC being you are taking the risk. That's all it is.
Right. Paul, anything you want to add?
Yeah, so if there's a red flag raised by any of the audits, we'll of course investigate it that deeper and try to get a position from founders, really get some external opinion. But we all know how it works. So that if a brand of VCs go in, there's going to be thousands of VCs who would want to join blindfold. And we've seen how FTX didn't have a board, so the decisions that they were made, they were just like that, and it's far more dangerous than having a problem in the line of code. And they looked at it, and so I assume there was a red flag in the code. They didn't really care either. So it's more about having appropriate risk measures for the whole thing. There will always be some minor risks in different places. You just need to cover the main blocks, and there will always be some adjustments from the technical auditors, but they're paid for. I mean, if they say for all the projects all is good, then they're just going to visit to hire them. Yeah, I guess that's the thing.
So moving on, happily the last question. How do venture capital firms assess the market readiness and adoption potential of omnichain technologies, taking into account factors such as industry, demand, competitive landscapes, and regulatory considerations?
Yeah, that's probably my answer to most of the questions. But so we'll look back at the actual use cases, and so we don't go into trying to understand the technology unless we understand what is it for. So if there's a need for a particular technology, so for example, the digital ID space, the previous catalyst had a lot of to do with omnichannel stuff. Because, for example, if you want to build a reputation layer that would cover different networks, it's important to be able to track the transactions across different networks because you have the same public address and you have to do it cross-chain. So in this case, there is a need of doing in this case on-the-chain ID. But if someone said to me, look, we're using this technology for doing this and that without explaining where exactly it's going to be used for, who is going to pay for it and why, there's no point of building a technology just for the sake of it.
Absolutely. Very well said. Yes, Sumit.
I think in terms of omnichain, it's more difficult. For example, people used to use mixers for transferring funds. So what happens is, like, for example, it's a very huge fund. You go to a centralized exchange and tell them this address is one which hacked me. But when you use mixer and omnichain stuff, it moves through too many components and too many addresses, and it becomes hard for an exchange to help the culprit, like help the user to find the way. So I think regulatory is very important, but I think I don't know how they are able to tackle like layer 0 or XLR in terms of risk, in terms of regulation, because if someone asks, like if SEC asks that give me addresses of how this happened, so it's pretty difficult because in the omnichain, the same addresses use a lot of times to send funds or to bridge the funds. So I think it's pretty difficult and industry is still figuring out. And in terms of regulation, I don't know. Regulators also don't know how to fix that because the ecosystem is new. So yeah.
So do you see like a promising side coming from the regulatory aspect that they're trying to improvise and bring in more tools? Is that more promising?
So in terms of if it's on the institutional side more, which affects, because the institution needs each and everything in terms of logs and everything. I think there are tools for institutional sort of things which gives you pre-warning and everything if you use Fireblocks institutional, KuCoin institutional. So there are tools. I'm not sure about how the tools which are made for governments are there or not. So yeah, thanks.
All right. Anything you want to add, Paul, on that? So I was just asking that given that there is still a lot of dilemma around how the regulatory bodies are operating and how they're trying to track everything, so do you think we are still moving towards a more positive side?
Well, in terms of regulation, well, there's no other direction in terms of regulation, at least from the client's perspective. There is no way this whole thing will be not regulated. So the faster we get to some clear regulation that will be understandable for everyone, the better. So I'm more concerned about the speed rather than the final shape, because the final shape is going to be some shit. But the faster we get to setting the rules for everyone, the faster we can build something meaningful and do it right.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Any closing comments, Sumit, before we just sign off from this panel?
Yeah, just stay in the market, be active, and being in this market will be heavily rewarding and is one of the best ecosystem in the place right now. Yeah.
Yeah, what I often say to engineers is be mindful of your clients, but you're very smart people, but don't try to put your brains to build something that people don't need. So try to create something that they choose. So talk to their clients and try to understand how you can sell your technology first before developing it.
That's actually a perfect closing, that we don't have to get everything on the Web3. There are certain things that are still better off when they're in the Web2 space or in the traditional phase. So we don't have to build a solution to everything. Thank you guys. It was really nice having this chit chat, having this panel discussion with Paul and Sumit. And thank you guys for being here with us. And thanks, Dojima guys. Thank you.